This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
The first edition of this book began with 1789 and ended with 1989, precisely 200 years later. This third edition brings the story forward another quarter century, although those 2 years are still anchors for the book. Like all dates and periods in history, these are somewhat arbitrary, but these 2 years, 1789 and 1989, mark signal events in European history, arguably the 2 most important years in that continent's history. The first is the year of the French Revolution, which overturned the monarchy in France, albeit temporarily, institutionalized the ideas of the Enlightenment, and unleashed the forces of nationalism, revolution, and democracy all over Europe. The second is the year in which communism collapsed in Eastern Europe through largely peaceful popular revolutions that brought down one communist regime after another in the course of only about 6 months. These Eastern European revolutions stimulated the fragmentation and collapse of the Soviet Union 2 years later, with the consequent end of the Cold War conflict that had dominated international relations and much of life in both the East and the West since the end of World War II. The ending of the division of Europe between Eastern and Western, communist and capitalist, allowed for further movement toward unity and integration, marked by the expansion of the EU from 15 countries to 28 by 2013. What Napoleon had tried to achieve by force of arms after the French Revolution, the unification of Europe under the revolutionary principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, was achieved 2 centuries later through peaceful and mass protest and global economic integration. In the years between 1789 and 1989, of course, Europe underwent many changes, some of them even more convulsive than the revolutions of 1789. Another seminal revolution in Russia in 1917 brought to power a political party committed to another ideology, communism, which within 50 years was embraced by governments controlling half the population of the planet. 2 world wars in the 20th century, fought mainly on European soil, cost the lives of tens of millions of Europeans, both soldiers and citizens. Brutal totalitarian dictatorships emerged in Germany, Hitler, and Russia, Stalin, each causing misery and death on a scale unprecedented in human history. At the same time, these 2 centuries were a period of enormous positive changes and creativity in Europe. The inventions of the mechanized spinning wheel, steam engine, and assembly line fueled the Industrial Revolution, which affected almost every aspect of daily life and transformed European society from agricultural to urban. Adam Smith's ideas about free enterprise spurred the growth of capitalism, while the rough edges and excesses of unfettered capitalism spurred Karl Marx to suggest an alternative way of organizing urban life with the Communist Manifesto. Charles Darwin revolutionized biology and science with his theory of evolution, in the process challenging traditional and religious notions about human creation. And in the midst of all this ferment, Europe produced some of the most marvelous writers, musicians, and artists of all time.